So if you can start.
Good morning. My name is Ikondo, and this is PyData. PyData is a community for users and developers of open source tools. And today we're talking about how data is shaping the world of tomorrow. Our first speaker is Edward Oluwashey, and we'll be talking about how the future is driven by data.
That's it.
Okay, start here. Yes.
I think you can sit though. Yeah.
Right. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Right, it's good to be here, and thank you for having me. Right, and I also have faith with you. One of our strong data scientists, and yeah. So today we'll just talk about use of data. So I got the team, and a lot of things came to my mind when I saw the team. One major thing there is agentic AI. Another thing there is use of AWS, right? And so I would like to speak from my heart, and do I have a slide? But I want it to just be something natural, so that I won't be boxed into some knowledge. So at least all of us can get some insights, right? And so to begin with, say building solutions.
Building solutions using AWS.
Yeah, building solution. I think I got an echo.
Yeah, he has muted it.
Okay. So building solution with AWS. Interesting thing for me was that the first cloud certification I got was AWS as a solution architect, like 4 or 5 years ago, and that was when we got to use AWS, and that was when I started building few things with AWS services, right? And it feels most of my solutions sit on AWS today. I'd say close to 80% of them sit on AWS. So I'm a good fan of AWS, right? And so today we'll be talking about an overview of what we call the agentic AI, right? And I think it's what happens. So probably it's something that you see everywhere now, agentic AI. And even while we are also discussing with Faith, and the beauty of agentic AI, probably how it's changing things, and few things about agentic AI. So we're talking about overview about agentic AI and why it matters, right? And we're going to be looking into some practical things about agentic AI, why it matters. I think it looks new, but not so new. If you are a developer, if you are someone who builds ML, it's just a function of you infusing ML into application development and doing some automation and orchestration, right? So it's not absolutely new, but with the advent of LLM, so we have more intelligence, so you can just you have the intelligence engine ready made for you, right? So and we'll also be talking about. I said we'll be talking about. Can someone go to the next slide? Yeah. So that's the introduction.
From where? Okay, you're not the one projecting it. Can you just leave here and go to them?
All right. We'll also be talking about how the cloud infrastructure powers intelligent autonomy. That's the agentic AI, right? The big question here is what is agentic AI? Yeah. So that's a big question for us, and we know this question, right? And it's interesting. But me, I don't like being theoretical. So we'll come to class, I'll come to talks like this, and we'll keep saying it easier, we say beautiful big words. But let me tell you what I've done with agentic AI, right? So one thing saying is couple of autonomous planning and action, right? So I know I've done. There's when I started building agentic AI. One of the things I did with agentic AI is low level. I think as anybody before now, right? I don't know if we've had experience building chatbots before now, before the advent of LLM. So I remember some time ago I was researching into building a bot using some Power Automate Power Apps, right? And then it's building it with Power Apps. It's always like some sort of rule based. You say, okay, if A equals B, do this. So there's a flow around it, and that is what some solution use is like all this. You see bots like all these banking bots um, served via WhatsApp or via other channels. So like you would always it's like a menu driven bot. But now, right, agentic AI is able to give you not just a starting point, but something that is goal oriented, right? You have a goal in mind, and it's able to help you navigate the flow. Interesting thing, right, is that I think in my team, I think we have at least couple of goal oriented bots, especially some intelligent chatbots which we've built, right? So and that's the beauty of agentic AI and being able to build something that is for you, right? And I can tell you it's going to make your work very easy. So I want you to think about something you can build. So I don't like theory, right? So we talk. So what's the next action point? So for every meeting, for every engagement, we should leave the session with an action point. What do we need to do? What's the way forward? And what can be done, right? And so I want you to just think about a process you would like to automate, and you want an agent to help you with. You want there's a decision you need to make. You want a goal-driven solution, right? And I want you to take something and you note it now. And I can tell you, you can build an agent in less than 1 hour. It's not a big deal. Initially, I was thinking, oh, probably, when the buzzword came, like, no, agent, like, yeah, fine. Because I know one of the earliest agents I built was, I think, okay, one of the most recent one I built, right, before I got busy, was an agent that could help me draft my first message with any of my connection on LinkedIn. So when I'm connecting, anytime I see a new friend request, especially some top level friend request, uh, uh, it's able to read through their PDF profile, understand mine, look into what is common between both of us, and draft some first message to them, a welcoming message that aligns with my goal and objective. And yes, and I believe with that alone, right? So anybody I'm engaging for the first time on LinkedIn, the person sees me. I know what the person is doing. I know how I can help that person. I know how we can collaborate, and I believe that is something that's going to help me build my network and build quality network. So I'm not just engaging people randomly, right? Yeah. So, but if I want to build quality network, yes, I leverage this guy, and yes, he's able to tell me this guy is good and you can build this solution with this person. But and that's that. Even there was a time when we were doing one training, and we were talking, okay, can we build an agent that could take my CV and help me go and apply? Those tools are available. What if you build something customized for yourself and build something right? And yes, is that possible? Yes, especially with Python. I code a lot with Python. So most of my job is done with Python. My programming parts, I program with Python and leverage available LLMs. So, but the goal is that we can build something that's good oriented. And one of my assignments for us is that let's think about something we can build. Don't just say it, right? I don't like saying build it. Let's build. And it is when you build, you go for interviews. That's you tell them what you've done. It's not that okay. I know this thing. Have you done it before? No. Have you done it? He said no. Then but when you tell us that, okay, I know this thing, I've done A, B, C, D, and these are the value derived, then anybody engaging you knows you're a person of value. So it's not going to be talk. But my assignment, like just reiterating, please let's do more. Do it, right? I think key capability to write. Task the composition so you can build it, you can decompose tasks into different beats, right? So different beats, different tasks, and so that's what gives us uh, the functionality of what we call multiple agents, right? So it's just like different logic. So if you're a software, so anybody who's a software developer, there's what we call the modular architecture. So where you build different modules and you enable them to interact with them, each other. Probably you deploy them as an API and build a central system for them to interact with each other. So the same way agentic AI. So just build different tasks. So it might not be one task fit all. So for instance, now the agent I built for myself for my place of work, right? There's a part of the agent. What it does is that it takes the prompt and writes the script. That's what that one does. So once it gets the prompts, for instance, if the stakeholder is saying, okay, anyone, kindly give me count of transactions across all channels. So it takes that prompt, writes the SQL, given probably the data map provided. Yes. So that's the first agent. The second agent picks it up from there. So the first agent writes the script. The second one sends the script to the database. The third one get the result from the database and interpret it. So you see that there are different tasks. So, and that is the functionalities of some of the capability of the agentic AI. Being able to break tasks, task decomposition and planning, right? Another thing is that tool usage, APIs and database. Like I told you just that I use database. The solution I use, right? It's able to interact with database, and that's the interesting thing. See, this is most of them I try not to speak this way because somebody has corrected and said, "Look, you trivialize a lot of things. You make them look too simple." I'm very sorry if I trivialize them, but I can tell you they are not too big deal, right? There are things we can play with, there are things we can build, and there are things that can give significant value. See, what we are discussing now, we might not understand the importance in the industry. So when you get to a place of work, and you discover that all this, the task, many organizations have some lot of recurring tasks, some dummy tasks, like they keep doing some things over and over again. I feel like, how will you sit down do these things, right? Get an agent to get this done for you, and you build one, and they get the work done, right? And agents can interact with APIs, database, external system, and those things are much available for you. You can call any API. So when I was reading one of the things I did, because I had the opportunity of having a brother who is a software developer, I said, okay, look, all these different stages, can you make them as a service? So as a callable API, so I need to create them as an API, and that's what agents can do for you. And I mentioned earlier the long-term memory content, so you can keep track of what the solution is doing over and over again, and autonomous execution and monitoring, right? See, I like saying this thing about myself. I'm somewhat lazy person, right? I'm lazy, and for a lazy person will always find a way to do things faster and in a very automated way. I remember when I got my role as a data engineer. Our initial data engineer, the guy will come to the office entire day. We are asking him, please help us update this table, partition this table. And guess what? Luckily for me, the guy got a good job, and I was asked to come and take up his role. So what this guy does for the entire day, he comes by 8 a.m., leave the office by maybe 5 p.m. I just automated everything. At the end of the day, people think I'm working. Yeah, people see that we have this table updated. Guess what? Even I got a mail. The system is automated to the level where I got a mail by 2 a.m. Once all the automation is completed. And I got a lot of accolade. Oh, everyone is working. I'm like, hey, I'm just in my house and sleeping. Right? So the autonomous part of agent is going to make work easy for us. The only problem in this entire journey is not the tool, and like I was telling you that I was away from me, I said, it's not about the tool, it's about we being able to think through solutions. When you say a problem, think through the process from end to end, build the agent, automate it, and let that guy do the task for you. So that will give you opportunity to think more on intelligent things, so the things that keeps you recurring. And the next one is why AWS for agentic AI, right? And one interesting thing is that the scalable compute for LLM workload, right? And that's the interesting thing about AWS, especially when you go through the foundation model, the Amazon Bedrock foundation model. Uh, these are things that makes building the solution, especially when we are leveraging AWS services. And you have a lot of robust MLOps ecosystem. You have your secure data storage, right? And so you know, AWS is highly secure, highly secure. They have all level of privacy rules, so you can secure your data. You are sure that there's not going to be data breach, and there's a lot of governance around it. So governance to your level of data retention retention, data archiving, data sharing policy, and a lot of data quality control, right? Those are things you can always see with AWS. And you have a lot of serverless and event-driven service, right? And when we go to the next slide, which is core services for agentic AI, right? So you have the foundational model, right, which you can use, and you can retrain, you can tweak, and make them do your specific task. And another one is the AWS Lambda. So we know of AWS Lambda function, right, whereby it can serve as your serverless agent action, and S3 for your documents, whereby you keep all your documents, your file, right, and sometimes probably the file your agent needs to work on, it's unstructured file. Like, can somebody give me a use case of when you build agent around unstructured file? Unstructured file. So yeah. So maybe the first use case I gave was probably you're building something that enters the database. But now it's unstructured file. Let's say for instance you're building an agent. Give say, so let's talk about a use case here. So I know I have a use case down, but I like being practical so that I won't be talking, so that it can be interactive. So can we give a use case whereby we use S3? Why do we? Okay, imagine you want to build. Just think of one agent you can build using unstructured data. A use case. We have a lot of problem every day. Every day. Every day. You know, say they talk say problem definition. So initially I thought when I was learning this, I was like, oh, what my boss told me, said, well, there's a lot of problem you'll be solving. I said, you guys have been in the industry for about 10, 15 years. You guys should have solved the whole problem now. But every day, problem, like I just I can't imagine. So I want a use case, I want a practical use case. I don't want to give you one. If I give you one, you pay me. So I can give you one. Yeah, I'm still thinking, right? Like I know I will give you one. So I want somebody to give me one. Estate. You want to build an agent. You want to build a system powered by AI, LLM, using unstructured data. Give me a use case of unstructured data.
Test. There. Social media. Where you can upload things like pictures or files. Just anything, MP4, MP3, JPEG. That's like a medium of communication.
So what kind of is the goal? So keeping in mind that the agent is going to be autonomous, and it has a goal in mind. So maybe we should go into saying understand what's going to be the goal of the agents. What would the agents do? What's the objective?
To secure those unstructured documents.
To secure them. Okay. So okay, yeah. So maybe so but what's the AI part there? So how will it integrate?
Identify those unstructured data.
Okay. All right. Okay, identify unstructured data.
Because like you use AI for something like massive uploads or like retrieval of these files that you are sending. Because instead of like maybe doing it one by one via a server, you can use the AI to facilitate that
movement. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me help you flesh that out. So for instance now, so the AI is able to understand, identify unstructured data, right? And identify, probably you have a multiple folder and you want a system that would help you, probably on your S3 bucket, any form of data gets into S3 bucket, a document, a word, and you want an agent that anytime someone drops a file into the S3 bucket, the agent organizes the S3 bucket for you. One, so it's able to identify file formatting, right? No, yeah. So maybe file formatting might be used with basic Python. It's okay. Yeah, let's do if else statements in Python, right? But it's okay. Yeah, fine. So that's it. That's what we see, right? So another use case would be that. So maybe because of my industry experience. And for instance, now if there is a scanned document always uploaded into a server, you want an AI agent to read through every file, extract the image and the signature, right? So you reach the document, extract, so you use some level of the OCR part, and he's able to pick inference to say, okay, it does fixed matching. So and
to extract and also transfer
yes, so it goes there, picks the first file, extracts the information there, goes into the database, look for who owns those information and upload. So it picks. So it's not like you look into say, okay, who owns this document? This person, but he understands the primary key. He identifies the primary key, the phone number and the primary key, extract all the necessary information, he sends to another table in the database. So it picks from unstructured to structured. So you read through the document, you find. And I can tell you, many people are doing that manually in different organizations. Yes. So, but with this kind of thing, yeah, and when you just tell them, just drop this file for me in an S3 bucket, right? And just pick it there. You're fine. All right. So I think we are going to be thinking of more as we go on, little by little. All right. So yeah, so we mentioned core services. I think I saw that when we mentioned S3 bucket for document and data storage, right? And we have our data processing and query, right? That's Glue, DynamoDB, and that's your database, right? And different step functions to understand. Okay, this hierarchy, this one should go first for orchestration, right? And the architecture, like the one we just mentioned now, the architecture is saying, okay, starting from data ingestion, ingesting into S3 buckets, and that's the interesting thing. So because for every agent has the start point, so ingesting data, ingesting into S3 bucket, inference, next thing is model inference. So the model inference in the case study we just gave is that, okay, it's able to identify images, identify signatures, identify names, identify primary key, and is able to extract them, right? And so the system understand that, okay, I need to extract the primary key for. So for instance, if the account number is primary key or the phone number is primary key or the username is the primary key, it's able to look into the document, identify which part of the document hosts the primary key, extract it, understand that the next thing is that I need to now ingest this data into a database, right? So it picks up from there, right? And we have the agent orchestration, which the step function, and you have your lambda for execution, right? So the next slide speaks to some pipelines, right? So just to tell you how can we go to the next slide? Yeah, okay, it's not so clear, right? But it's just I did this, right? Just some basic architecture into how how it flows, right? Starting from collecting your data into your S3 bucket, right? And from S3 buckets using Glue for data processing, and you have your clean data back into your S3 buckets. You from there you also query, let the bedrock agent. That's the LLM works. The inference needed is done by the agent, right? And once the output is done, it's either you send the outputs back to S3 buckets, or the cleaned output is now into DynamoDB, right? So, and the one thing about the big deal about agents here is can you go to, it is the bedrock. That's the foundational model. That's a big deal. Every other thing can be done using what we call normal software engineering, right? But inference, making some intelligent inference the ability is only done, or we only have that capability using our foundational model. So finally, right, and we have two use cases, right? And one of the first use cases is financial operation. So I think we've spoken to one use case. I want to give you another use case. See, I want to give one bonus question. One of my guy asked me at Access Bank. I just joined Access Bank then, and One guy asked me, said, "Hey, God, what are we paid to do?"
Good question.
He said, "We come to work because I told them that, guys, we are not paying you to write SQL. We are not paying you to do dashboard. So I also ask you a question. So that when you get to the industry, and you for us in the industry, what do you think you are paid to do? Why do people will pay you? Why are they paying somebody $1,000 and they pay another person $2,000? Why? I discovered that the person that are paying $3,000, $10,000, they are not doing physically anything. Nothing, right? You just go. The question is that what are they paid to do? So when you are going, because if you don't get a part of what you will pay to do, you might not know what you need to do. So now let me answer that question. And the answer I gave him that day, it was on the spot. And the answer I gave him that we are hoping to think. It's not about this tool. It's about who can think the most, who can think outside the box, who can think on the spot. You go into a meeting, and the other time I'm saying this is that because I asked you a question, because we need to discuss about different use cases, and that is what builds us. It's not about anybody can pick up a tool, but not everybody can think through how you can build a solution. I have like 2 use cases here, but I want us to be natural and let's think. We see problem every day. Let's get a use case. I think she has given us a use case. So I want a guy to give us a use case. Yeah. So that things will be gender balanced. Though the distribution of ladies here is more. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
So we'll make it proportional, right? For every 2 lady, a guy. So yeah, 1, 2, yeah, 5. So 3 to 2. So every 3 ladies, 1. So once after him, another lady. So give us a use case like. So now, see, don't make it technical. We are not under pressure. This is not a boardroom. We are not interview. So relax, right? So don't make it too serious. So just look into something you would like. That I wish this thing can be done. I can just be on my bed sleeping. So just think of something natural.
So, for example, a software where clients get people to do their projects for them. Okay. You can ask for a project to be done, and the agency there would get data from every available user, every available person, then get who is best for you, and you can just be there and it will tell you this is the right fit for this is the right person for the kind of project.
Makes sense. So what you just described, it's used to order the human resource management, whereby you have a lot of projects and you have a lot of people, competent people, and you want to pick the best. And you want a system that is not biased. Has anybody done interview conducted by AI before? No. Very interesting. I had one like 2 weeks. Like 2 months. Very interesting.
So you compared to human,
yes.
What's the difference?
The AI is more direct and not complex and not biased.
What if it is biased? Like,
you know, okay,
is something else that?
Okay, now so let me tell you how the process went. When I was told that okay, you're going to be talking about here, I was very scared. that would be my first expression. I was scared. And here I will interview me. So I took the book steps. Okay, now don't go there now. Let's see. Let's see. And,
can I get something? The company, they're not here in Nigeria.
No. So I'm just one person. I'm connecting that to what you mentioned. So what the AI does for you is that you upload. It knows it's going to read through your CV.
Oh.
So after going through your CV, it's going to ask you questions related to your CV.
Oh.
For instance, now if you tell in your CV, you're saying, okay, you work with Microsoft. You're going to ask you, what do you do? What are the projects you've done? Explain it, right? So you explain the project. It's going to ask you another question based on your response. So because okay, you said you did a project on data migration. Can you tell me how you migrate? What are the tools you use? You explain it. Okay, if you want to go to a practical session, right? So I told the AI that okay, I built a pipeline with Python to move data from point A to point B. So when we go to the practical session, give me a data migration pipeline code and say, okay, review this code. What is missing? So of course, review that. So if you build that project, if you've done something in that nature, the code you are saying, you know it. Yes. So he's able to understand that. Do you really know what you are saying? Say, okay, okay. Say, okay, how can you optimize this? And you give your opinion. I said, okay, well, thank you, you're doing well, but you can do it better this way. And with that, you are shortlisted, and he's going to refer you to the area manager. Very simple. So now, like what you mentioned, right? So that already exists, but it's going to be a very good one, right? So I was telling my brother, I said, it's not a big deal. You can build your own version. So you can think of, can I build a version of AI that I have job description, I have the CV, it analyzes it to engage. So let's say you are thinking about a multi-agent, takes the job description, picks every CV, and give everyone personalized question. So before now, I do interview a lot, or no, I conduct interview a lot, right? Most of the time we ask the same question because probably you are for a day, like you are scheduled to interview 10 people. So we just have we just ask everybody the same question. And at the end of the day, that's not the best way. But when you have an agent that already reviews everybody's competency, their skill, their strengths and weaknesses to the job description. So it's not it's asking everybody come to the panel specific questions that is tailored to. So and it doesn't care about I'm tired, I don't like this person, I don't like the way he talks. I've been in a meeting, I've been in an interview panel and my boss said that guy is too rude. Yeah. Right. So because of the tone the guy was using. So maybe that guy I've been in an interview panel where the guy was sick. He just needs to show up. But he told us that he's currently sick. Yes, we may be able to understand. But human factor comes in. But there are complexity around it. But at least you doing something for fun, right? At least it takes job description. If it's just one single, not a mono agent, picks the job description, picks the CV, shortlist, and picks the best, rank them based on the best candidates. And I think that will help a lot of recruiting firms.
I have a question. So based on this analogy now on how AI can work in recruiting processes, bearing in mind that when you are recruiting, you don't just check the person's competencies, you can check their ability to learn, to grow from their behavior. And sometimes when you're interviewing somebody, it's not necessarily always in a straight line. So how does AI allow for those outliers, or those, like somebody now that I said is rude? To the AI, the person might be the perfect candidate. Yes. And when you hire them, they have fit into the work culture. Yes. So how do these people that depend on AI for such an important role or an important point of hiring somebody into your company, if you are depending on AI for that, I feel that there are different use cases that AI doesn't cover. So how do we use agentic AI to cover those errors?
Okay, fine. So within the hiring process, so the level called the competency, AI will take care of that. Now, the next one is the personality of the person. So do you know there are some personality questions?
Yes.
Yes. So
yes.
So the personality question will take care of that.
Can you?
You can. Have you taken a personality
question before? I've answered question based on personality question, and then I realized that they didn't call me about something.
So personality question, but if you are depending on something that doesn't have its own personality, and has to depend on a learning model, to interpret your personality based on what you fed to it, because different companies require different type of personality. And once you fed something to this AI, how do you, okay, this person is unique, their personality is something unique.
Yes, it's dynamic.
Like AI does not like
So
correspond with the learning model. So how do you
personality survey is not AI powered. It's not AI powered.
But it's
Not
coming
yet.
from the-
Not
It's
yet,
not coming
right?
from it's a framework. It's a framework to understand human psychological personality. It's a framework. It exists. So when you take
like
that,
INTG.
yes, yeah, I see.
Sometimes I have different personality. Like, I mean, when I do this test and I feel like, why am I having different? I don't know.
Okay. So well, you might. I can tell you most of the time you have there's a personality. All your traits revolve around, right? So how you react to people, how you talk to people. To me, I can tell you that it is fear. See, human, like you mentioned, human behavior is highly dynamic.
Yes.
We can have a lot of mood swing. We have a lot of
Yes.
things happening. We have a lot of things happening. When you are hungry and AI is interviewing you, you'll be normal. But when it is human interviewing you, then you can sense the tone and you can flare off. I don't like how this person is talking. The disadvantage of AI is that it doesn't give room for human interaction. So what in my previous interaction, I think I had I had a project to build something like this. And when we are brainstorming on this solution, which you gave, one of the stakeholders said, Edward, no matter what you build, give room for human assessments. Tell no matter what you build. So maybe you are only telling us that your agent will reduce the hiring day from say 5 days to 1 day, but ensure that this person interacts with somebody, right? And that's always there, right? And the rule of all this agentic AI and LLM is that no matter what you build, give a room for human interaction at least once. At least once. Hear the person, see the person, so that it's not one agent interviewing another agent. Okay, thank you for the question. I think we've gotten one. So let me just have this financial use case, right? Yes, so this is practical. This is one of the projects I did, right? And interesting. It's possible. So where you have a system that is able to, so it's more of, this solution is more of software engineering. So that's why the ability to code with Python very well will help you. So that's the software engineering part. So yes. So what we did was build a complete flow with Python, with some level of machine learning using fuzzy logic algorithm and some other things, right? But it's able to perform what we call reconciliation, right? So and the problem statement that led to this was that the process is very complex, and when the stakeholder came and said, "Okay, look, what is to be this?" They thought it's not possible. They said because it has over 50, close to 50 rules. Like, are you sure you can do this thing? And the team that does this, it takes a team of 6 people to run the reconciliation for like 4 or 5 hours per day to get a day reconciliation done. But when this guy came up, he's able to perform an entire reconciliation in less than an hour from data extraction. So when you talk about data extraction, pulling it from different server, ingesting into database and doing a lot of things, making the inference and reconciling, that's a lot. So but I'm just telling you that these are use cases that is highly possible for us to work with. You can build financial reconciliation system, right? And customer insight, I think I mentioned this, right? Whereby we have an agent that engages, that stakeholders can engage. So business analysts now or data analysts, they don't have much to do unless you can think outside the box. So, and what made me think? So the next slide. So what made me think in this line? How many minutes am I having? I think I'm almost done though. Yeah. So what made me think in this direction was because I have one of my ET that calls me regularly and say, "Edward, I need this data." There was a day he was in a conference, probably in Kenya. I said, "Edward, please be on standby. We are in this strategy session. We need data. Send me all this data." And I was like, "Okay, what if I build you a system that I can just interact?" The same way you ask me, "Edward, I need this count of customers. I need this." You can just talk to that guy, and that guy goes to the database and extract data for you. And that's what I did. Right? And that's what this guy does for you. Right? You can get customer insights on the fly, identify churn risk customer, generate action point for you because it can read through the data and also interpret. It tells you. And there was even a layer I had. I said, "Okay, please also give me a recommendation. Tell me what to do." I tell to tell me what to do. Right. So we can also integrate to sending notifications. Okay, now so once the process is done, send the output as an email. Right. And you can also monitor the results and adopt strategy. Next slide. I think that's all right. Right. So key takeaways for us, like it can it's not agentic AI unlocks some autonomy in our workflow. So it's and that is the ability for the system to work on its own, so that we have time to do more critical things. And anytime I get a new place, so anywhere I get to, I look into how can I make it automated, right? Automated flows, right? And like we mentioned, right, AWS offers end-to-end tools, right? There are a lot of services on AWS that you can use, and I think we listed them earlier, starting from S3 bucket to Glue to Athena to the Bedrock, and also to various Lambda function for orchestration, Lambda function for actions, and also our S3 bucket and DynamoDB for our final result, right? And then we have that, and also data plus cloud provide the foundation for reliable agents, right? So when you have your data ready, so and you have your cloud services, you have a reliable agent that can scale, right? Because imagine you want to build a solution that is interacting with over at least 1,000 customers per second, right? Right. So, and with cloud, you can do that. Like I mentioned, most of my solutions sit on AWS. They're really different services. Thank you very much. Any question? Before I call it a day. Okay.
So for me, I have two questions actually. One of them is from your first use case, the one for reconciliation of financial institutions. You said on a normal, it takes about 6 people a few hours to reconcile some transactions, and for agentic AI, it takes like a few hours. And I wanted to ask, because what I know about reconciliation in financial institutions, I know that this reconciliation has to pass like several departments. Like if you start it, you have to go to the department, you wait until somebody gives you access or use what they're doing to respond to you. So my question is, does this AI bypass these different steps, like on the coding level? Like instead of going via human beings to ask for their access, does it bypass them? And if an AI can do something like this, why not grant the reconciliation those access initially instead of asking them to move to this department in order to do that reconciliation? That's my first question. And my second question is, we've always said, oh, AI is coming for our jobs, AI is coming for our jobs. And now we have seen practical example of AI actually coming for our jobs. So is it that like the two use cases have shown that these are people's jobs, day-to-day jobs, and AI can do this. Is AI coming for our jobs faster? or do we still have time? Is everybody going to build their own AI now? Yes, everybody can now sell AI as a service if it's coming for your job. So those are my two questions.
Okay. Question one. Reconciliation, you mentioned reconciliation takes is dependent on different departments, different units to get the data and the like. And the question was that if we can give an agent this right, why can't we give human? Right? So because of the zero trust factor is human, right? So that is why some things will not be given to human because of the data governance. You can still trust an agent to say when I share my PII data with an agent, the agent will not share with any other person.
Yeah, agents can be hacked.
So now depending, so if this agent is hosted within your network, it's not your network. It can't. It's a service now. You are hosting it within your network. It's within your. Let's assume right. You have a VPC, you have your own network, and the agent is not exposed to the internet. Right. It can be hacked.
Technically, like you said, zero trust for human beings.
Yes.
That your private network that maybe is not exposed to the internet is also exposed to other human beings.
Yeah, so you can at that level there are governors to say this is the only person that have access to it. So there's a governance to that environment. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, so okay. So let me answer. I'm still gonna answer the second question, but I'm still answering the first question. Right. So the agent goes like the agent, the reconciliation agent. There's a part of the agent that goes to the switch. It goes to a file server in another company to pick the data. We created a user for it. So it's okay, this agent has a user, has a personality, grant this access to this user. So it goes to another file server, provide credentials, extract the file. It goes to data warehouse. So what you would expect a data engineer to say, okay, data engineering team, okay, let us pull this data. The agent goes there, pull the data itself. Reconcile. It goes to the financial team. Probably they are hosting another file in probably OneDrive. Goes to that OneDrive, big data. So it has the ability because of the governance around that agent. So it is easier for us to trust a flow, a process than human because, and especially human leaves and knowledge gaps. So that is why we trust an agent. So our second question is AI come for a job?
No, sorry, before you go into the second question, because my question is actually her first question.
Okay.
When it comes to human not being trustworthy in the space of the reconciliation, I used to work in a bank too, where I'm also in that same channel where this reconciliation happens. Sometimes it's to get to the reconciliation desk and to remember because they are human working on it. I still have to go with and keep sending reminder, maybe a gentleman mail to them that I have this reconciliation that has to be done. But like you said, that's how I will follow you when it comes to this your AI working on it with trust than human. If it was human, it will be there and the end user is actually having to suffer for it and it's on just one person's test. But your own question now is why is it that who uses the tools? It's still human and uses this AI tools to work on it, or it automatically works on it.
So it's working on itself. Yeah. So the final output of this is that it gives you a report.
It gives you the report.
So
you, the human, generates the report.
So the report you spend like 4-6 hours to do. Because the report is the end goal, understanding the area of range, what the discrepancy and the like. So the guy did this.
Then when you're talking about reconciliation, so the language still must be simple embedded in this.
Sure. It's able to write. Yeah, because when he's speaking to data warehouse, it says the script. Yes. So yeah. So is it AI come from job? Yes.
But these days, when you talk about asking of data yes, I think right now it's actually reducing.
No, it's reduced.
Reducing.
A lot of security now.
Security is on cloud, based on cloud, and cloud now has no security.
There are a lot of security layers, lots.
Yeah, for me, that I know that there are a lot of security, but there are things that you don't plan for. that can happen with the AI. For example, maybe the AI goes to the data warehouse, sends the SQL, and this SQL SQL server is down. The AI cannot move forward. You have
if it's human, so human to not move forward.
No. Like if it's a human and the human cannot move forward, you can send mails. Some people have
I always send mail
no.
and then
Some people have personal relationships and they can call the person immediately based on who you are.
So that is being biased. If I don't have personal relationship with you, you won't know my work. Can I?
We're talking about like outliers here.
Yeah.
The AI can also go to that data warehouse, and what if those people their files is being like their service is done online or something, and it comes back to you with the report that okay, I've done
So
this,
there's
done
no
this,
way you
done
can
this,
rotate this stuff
and I can't move forward anymore.
to
So does it tell you
the
like
landscape.
what exactly went on there? Is it that okay, this to tell you okay, this server is not online? Try again later.
So let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing also. Is that you try and build one agent for yourself. So all this thinking you're putting in, now put it. So this is the beauty of when you're building something. All this possible error that will come, that's what you build into that system. So you see, all your questions is very valid. I can tell you these are the questions all our stakeholders ask us. They ask us if this happens, what of if this, and that's what makes the system robust. All these your questions. So if you attempt to build a system and you're bringing in all this if statement, if this goes wrong, what do I do? I can tell you that we've answered a lot of all this if. If the server goes down, what of if the file is not there? So we are, for instance, we are calling inter switch or probably triangle, the file is happening. What should we do? So we told the AI, okay, go back after 30 minutes. So what of if the data warehouse is not available, is not hot? What should the AI do? Okay, you wait, you refresh, you check back. So if you check back after 1 hour, send an escalation mail, and I'm unable to extract data for today, and you copy everybody. See, there are a lot of things. So see, the best thing of this part is agencies that build one. When you build one, you pour your mind into it, and you see your thoughts coming to life, and you see things working. So just build one.
So maybe I'll just say this is a final question. How do you handle integration with companies that are not looking forward to like lend a big part of their
Okay. And we told them, we said, see, our agents cannot work with two-factor authentication. We need to relax this two-factor for this agent and the agent. So it's just everybody reaching a level of compromise. And see, nobody is trying to stop anybody. They just want to be sure that they are safe. That once you can promise them that okay, there's no problem, this comes from a trusted network, a secured environment, everybody will give you room. But if they are saying, okay, yes, no, we can't do it, keep in mind, even when you're reconciling, you don't have access to for instance, e-transact database. They will drop it for you on the file server. So that's the compromise they're able to reach, that either agent or human don't access our network. We get an SFTP server for you, go there. Anything that happens there, we know we are still safe. So there's always a compromise every organization reaches. Thank you very much.
The second question.
Okay,
yes,
is AI?
for your
But let me explain. Yes, so let me explain. So now, let me explain that is AI coming? Yes, and
Okay.
I want to use the word of Bamshibi, and that's the EDYT. He said, those people AI go to display that those people that doesn't use it. And if you don't use it, many people are scared. Those that are scared, because when you are scared of something, you are scared of the process, you don't build yourself, you're just scared. You will try to push back, but you get to a level you'll be able to push back. You get to a level you'll be able to push back, and that's where AI comes. So, but if you are the forefront of innovation in your team, in your place of work, you are thinking. So that's why I ask the question: what are you paid to do? You are paid to think. So if one system comes and is able to think more than you, then you don't have no need for you. But if you are also at the forefront of thinking, how can I make my work better? How can I serve my customer better? See, what you are paid to do is not coming to work 7 a.m., 8 a.m. to 5. It's to deliver value. Any way you deliver the value, just deliver value. See, you can be in your home and you are not doing anything. So many people think I work hard. Like, they think like everyone, you work hard, sincerely I work hard. I can tell you, I still have time for movies. I work from home. I still sleep. I still take at least during the day. I still have at least 1 hour nap. I still rest. So, and when you see my results, and you feel like everyone's must be working. I like it. It's just working smart and just put AI, put intelligence to everything you do. Then it's not going to take you do. So if your line manager knows that there's a level of intelligence in what you do, they won't replace you. But when they see somebody that loves doing that mundane task, like come do check file, you like let people see that you are working. Thank you. Final question.
So my question is based on the mass, not the corporate workers. The masses such as customer care support and similar roles whereby they're using AI to replace them. What will happen to them? Because not everybody can go into blue collar work. Even like in all these fast food joints, they are trying to integrate robotics to lessen the amount of workers there. So what is the economic disruption of those people that might not be able to get jobs?
So now, in every job disruption, it's going to create another job. So when interpreter came, right, started using the system, they would have thought that all these typists that are always type manager, how would they get jobs? See, that's where upskilling comes in. See, and AI will not do everything. There's this intelligent part that human is still needed to do.
But they're aiming to that point where AI does everything.
So maybe not in our generation. So I've seen a movie that is saying maybe in the next 50 years, the world will be a very dumb place.
Like evil.
Yes, and you are AI will just take over the world one day. Well. So maybe something will also happen. See, all these changes happen. There are things that will happen. We don't know, right? And if we care so much to say, okay, we want to make sure that everybody gets safe. At the end of the day, all of us will be behind.
If you're into it, I will be dead by that.
Yes. So because if you look into like say the Stone Age, and you're telling them, see, during the Stone Age they built the pyramid. See, and that's human ability. You can't exhaust it. Forget about it. Instead of we exhausting human ability, we would rather travel to space. So human, you can't exhaust. Human is too dynamic that we get to a level we'll be stranded. Human, they are stranded. The human will figure out. Human will figure out. Either human will figure out how to destroy themselves, but human will figure out a means to survive. Human will figure out. Thank you. I think I can call it again, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Can we get this slide? Yes,
Sure.
it's shared.
Should I go? Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. So we just had our first session by Mr. Edward, the data science of today and the future. So it was really an interactive session. I think everybody enjoyed the session.
Yes, I did.
Going left and right, and we would love to welcome those that are just joining us. I understand that Lagos traffic can be can be chaotic. So yeah, we're moving to the next session, which is building AI. Yeah, building AI solutions for scale. And Daniel is here with us. He's going to be talking about that. So, Daniel, when you're ready.
Oh, I can collect this.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's
So good morning, everyone. Uh, all right. So thank you very much for having me. Um, I'm talking about a very important topic: building AI solutions for scale. And I think it's a topic that it's often not spoken about, especially amongst developer developer communities. There's a whole lot of push for everyone needs to start building their own AI solution. You can call ChatGPT API, you can call Claude API, you can call Gemini, you can build your own agentic network. You can even vibe code the application. But nobody talks about building applications for production systems. I met with a mentor of mine, and I was having a conversation around, okay, so what's the next stage of upskilling, right? Especially now that everybody wants to do AI, what is that sweet spot that everybody find themselves in? And we were having conversations around, what have you done in the past 6 months? And he said, when I'm asking what have you done, I'm not saying have you built any AI application. I'm asking, have you built applications that are live in production? Have you built applications that people are using? That's how we can truly say you're an AI engineer. And my name is Daniel. Daniel Akabuya, I'm an AI engineer at Solutions. I'm also a cloud solutions architect with AWS Cloud. And I love playing chess. I love reading research papers in my spare time. And okay, yeah. And yeah, so these are my profile links if you want to get across to me. I'm mostly active on Twitter, LinkedIn. Like I meet me up on GitHub. Yeah, so design is all you need. I thought about this particular phrase today, and what did I think about it? I love playing chess, right? And so what's that? I don't know if any of us play chess here. There's something called the Royal Reverse opening. It's an opening in chess that's very common among both masters and beginners. And the reason it's common is because at the end of that opening is okay when we start moving the pieces. At the end of that opening, both the black and white pieces they come to an agreement on where we will stop. So the game becomes balanced. There's no win, there's no winner, there's no loser. And the reason why there's no winner and there's no loser is because both opponents have agreed on how the game should proceed. So that's why it's called the Royal Reverse opening. But what is there to me with that particular opening is balance. In a chess game, if there's an imbalance, it means that there's obviously a winner. But now with this opening, there's a balance. There's a balance on how the pieces are presented on the board. In fact, the aim of that opening is that somebody has to control the center. So eventually, it's still all about balance. How do we finish this opening and none of us is losing, none of us is winning. Right? When it comes to AI systems, you can interpret it in that sense. How do you build protect your solution where every single infrastructure, all right, every single infrastructure is at the right place and at the right time. Okay, yes, let's look at the scaling challenge. Okay, so over the last 1 year at my place of work, we've been very, very neck deep in building AI solutions, not just internally, but for customers, because I work in consulting. And part of our challenge is actually architecting the right solution for customers that come. For example, you have a company, you come to meet us, you say, oh, I'm in healthcare, but I want to see where AI can come in. I have this idea, so I went on ChatGPT, this is my business use case, how can I bring in AI? And ChatGPT gives you various case scenarios, you can bring in AI into your company, or you can train your own model, you can be the right application that can come like a doctor assistant or medical assistant, those very nice ideas. But meanwhile, the core infrastructure of your solution is not exactly sitting on a proper cloud service, right? Perhaps your solution is sitting on-premise, and you want to build like an AI application. And so it all boils down to how do we interpret solution for you. Both of you can have healthcare startups, but the way I will architect a solution for him will be different from the way I architect a solution for you. And both of you using the same idea of AI, solution, right? But how it's being implemented is different. So at the core of everything we build in tech, it's how do you properly architect the right solution, right? And that's how you scale. So it's very easy to come on LinkedIn and see one nice AI project. But trust me, if 1,000 people use that particular application, it will go down. In fact, there's no even proper CI/CD pipeline for that application. So even if you want to change a feature, you have to log out to your users before you change a feature. All right. So scaling is not a concept we talk about a lot, especially in AI. I know we are all about the models, large vision models or large language models, or do people like businesses now using audio models, right? But we don't talk about scaling a lot. So now, what is scaling? Scaling in AI is the ability of the system to handle brain workloads, data, users, and complexity without breaking performance, accuracy, or cost boundaries. I use Claude a lot, Anthropic Claude. I use the application. And every single time I'm using the application, I used to notice that something needs to break. Is that you see like 20 errors, just error one. And I'm like, what is happening here? Or you find out that while you are trying to load the charts, something just happens. Your chart just closes and opens, right? Meanwhile, on OpenAI's ChatGPT, I don't think I've ever used ChatGPT and I experienced any system breakdown. I don't mean network now. I mean proper application breakdown. Yes. Now that shows the difference in how both systems actually work. Are they all AI models? Yes. Are they AI systems? Yes. Do they have large amount of users? They do. In fact, I prefer Anthropic Claude to OpenAI. But then, based on how the core system was architected, or how it's still being architected, you will surely know that OpenAI is more stable than Anthropic Claude. All right. So it's not just about building the most accurate model. It's about serving it rightly to your customers. You don't want a situation where, you built an AI solution, maybe you fine-tune the model, or you build a rack solution, and they are serving it to customers, and your customer base is about, let's say, 1,005, and you're happy because it's a personal project for you. And they just want to make one change. And you're making that change, you start getting buzz is that what is happening? I cannot access my accounts, or the model is not doing well, or I used this model yesterday and I'm using it today and it's performing worse than I used it yesterday. So there's a whole lot to building an accurate model. Are you serving the model properly to your users? Is your model at the right point where even if 10,000 people come and use that your application at once, there will not be system breakdown? And these are the things we consider when we try to architect solutions for users. Many people say they want to fine-tune their own model, they want to train their own model. We have the data, but trust me, if I actually give you the proper infrastructure costs for building your model and serving it to the customers, you can't afford it. So there are various decisions we have to take. There are various questions we have to ask you. You want to build your model. What's the long-term benefit? What's the short-term benefit? If 20,000 people come on your platform, can you handle the load? Can you handle the costs? Right? We don't want a situation where we are saying, I can't do 20,000 people at once. Can we disconnect the service to, let's say, 5,000 people and handle 15,000 people? So, which means that we'll put them on a queue. So, if 15,000 people are using your application now, once one person does mistake to log out, you log in one other person. The other person cannot log in, right? Until one person logs out. I think a popular example is the NYC portal. Yes, when ChatGPT first started, exactly now. That's an example of a system that was not built initially to scale. At the time ChatGPT came out, it's all about, wow, this is a new innovation. Everybody wants to use ChatGPT, let's try it. And they started saying, I didn't think ChatGPT was not there. I think it was ChatGPT was like hundreds of thousands of users at once hitting the servers. It was almost the same way DeepSeek started. So when this week came out, I don't think they expected the number of people to use their platform. Although again, they came out with their new concepts using, I think they used, forgotten the name now, it's parents-teacher training. Forgotten the name, how they're able to properly build their own model at a very small cost. Yeah, but that was a new innovation for them, but I don't think they properly engineered the application for it to scale. So over time, they started, optimizing their application. I'm sure again that what they most likely did at that point was just keep adding more servers to undo the load. Now the issue with adding more servers is that what happened at that point is something unprecedented. What happens when the number of users that came at that point begins to reduce? So let's assume 1 million people came at once and started provisioning more servers. When the 1 million people finally leave, you mean that you're going to have servers that you provisioned that are just their hierarchical costs. So you see that when building AI applications, you have to think about scaling from the beginning. So which is why I said from the start, design is what? Design is all you need. So while you are thinking about building that application, building that LLM to be very sweet, very nice, and speak Nigerian English, also think about your users. Think about the people that will not responsibly use your application. Some of the ones you have different instances of ChatGPT on our laptop, right? We don't want to close one, so we want to open another one. All right. Now think about many users like that. So while trying to design or build an AI application, you have to think about design in mind, and not just for the LLM itself, for the infrastructure side of things. Okay. So these are key dimensions of scale that I've recognized in my workplace. All right. We look at the data scale. Okay. You say you have your data sets. Whether you want to fine-tune your model, okay, or you want to build a RAG application, whether it's your normal unstructured data or structured data. We look at data scale. How is your data being processed? Okay. We know that whether we are fine-tuning the model for you or we are building a RAG application for you, these models have to be updated as regularly as possible. But then the question is, how do you gather those data? How do the data come to your system? And then, is it data that we have to wait for like 6 months and aggregate and come back and fine-tune or retrain? Or is it data that as they are coming, we have to keep optimizing the existing model that we have? So what I mean by that is it real-time data scaling or batch data scaling. Now, so these are the decisions we have to take. Of course, both kinds of scaling, whether it's batch or real time, they have their advantages and disadvantages. You look at them, so that you now know that, I mean, if person A did it like this, I mean, that's because it really, really fits person A, but it might not fit your need. The bottom line is that your application works as it should work. Okay, so that's data scale. When we look at models, model scale. Larger or more efficient models that maintain accuracy under heavier workloads. So, I think Claude's model is about, I think it's at 4.5, I can't remember. But I still have applications that use 3.5. I don't think I've used 3.7. But I think I want to actually use 3.7 this weekend for a project. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes the bigger models are just an overkill. At what point in your application lifecycle do you say you want to switch from a small model to a big model? Don't forget, you also have to put cost in mind while you're building your application. For some of us in this part of the world, we might not exactly have that cost advantage when it comes to using a application, like building a application. What I mean by that is, we might not be able to build our own LLM. So what we do is that we use APIs that power whatever prompt engineering technique we are using or whatever RAG application we are using. But then, what decision do you take when it comes to adopting an LLM? How do you, I mean, for example, if Anthropic Cloud comes to me and say, sorry, what's your name? Ibrahim. We've given you 10,000 Anthropic Cloud credits. Oh wow, free. Let me go and use the biggest model possible, right? That's a normal disposition to that kind of wolf, let me put it that way. But then what people don't understand is that the bigger the model, the slower it is. So sometimes when a customer comes to tell us that this model is slow, or I want to prioritize speed over accuracy, then that tells us that I should not be thinking about Claude 4 or 3.7 or even 3.5. Or if I'm using Gemini, I think 2.5 Pro is enough for me, or 1.5 Lite is enough for me. All right. It's now based on how I architect the solution. I could just say that, well, if the use case is very complex, maybe for the complex side of things, I maybe use a 2.5 Pro. But when it now comes to returning the final response to the user, I use like a 1.5 Lite, which means that for the thinking process, I'm using a stronger model, but for returning the answer to the user, I'm using a faster and lighter model. So in that case, although of course I'm using two AI models, but they are not the same. They are different points. So, and as I'm using them, I'm making the right decision, and I'm actually deciding why I'm actually using two different models. There's this project that we built that we didn't use the same models from the same family. One was OpenAI, the other was Gemini. So we had to use Gemini 1.5 because Gemini 1.5 was like the fastest model at that time. But for the core engine for thinking, we had to use, I think, O2 or O3, I can't remember. But then, when you are scaling model, when you are choosing how you want to increase your model size, there are certain decisions that you have to take, certain considerations that you have to make. All right. And user skill, serving thousands to millions of requests with consistent latency and reliability. Funny enough, I don't think we actually speak about this a lot, and I think it's something we should actually keep talking about. If it's just you testing your application, it's fast. Give 10 people to use it at the same time. You find out that your model is like, say your model is now thinking 20 times. It's not as if it's thinking 20 times, it's that perhaps the way you might not be aware of how it's being architected at the back, but it's more like it's on the queue. Do you understand? And depending on the kind of server you are using, maybe your server can only accommodate 1,000 concurrent users, which means the other thousands would have to be on the queue, waiting for those 1,000 to stop doing yet anything, and they just keep swapping like that. So, which is why if you are building that project and you know you want to put it online, and you are sure that this project will go viral, you have to think about user scale in mind. Except you now want to start doing things like restriction. Okay, maybe you want to restrict by IP or geolocation, but then people find you around that. There's VPN. Yes. So you have to think about that in mind when you are tracing your server. In most cases, all those free servers they use will not cut it because they themselves are also restricting the number of requests to your application. All right. So again, scaling, there's a lot of cost benefit analysis in scaling that you have to consider. And operational scale, automated CI/CD. Yes. So I'll say this because I think it's something that WhatsApp struggles with. I feel I mean I can be I'm just speaking out loud, but I don't think that WhatsApp has a very good CI/CD pipeline. Because there's no wide reason why I'm coming on the application. The production application and their bugs on the application. Something should have, they're supposed to have tested it on test flights before they move it for users to use. They're not supposed to use production to test whether your code is working or not. Do you understand? So, why we think that even the bigger companies are doing the best of practices, trust me, it's still the Wild West out there. All right, but then I think it's supposed to be an ethos for you. You want to, I mean, as an AI engineer or an ML engineer or data scientist, well, data scientist. Yes, but right now, if you want to eat, you have to start training the part of software engineering. Well, that's the truth. That's the truth, right? Many companies right now are looking for data scientists that can build genetic AI models. All right. We'll still come back to traditional business models, but for now, like I said, if you want to eat, you have to start getting conversant to building genetic AI based applications. So operational skill, while you're learning how to code in Python, it's also important for you to also start learning how to do CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous development. Right? Like what I mean by that is how you can version your application. Oh, today you added a new feature. When you are pushing another feature, it should not affect your current users. A simple pipeline for that is GitHub CI/CD, GitHub Actions actually. How you can push new updates on your applications. It will not affect your users. But then I've worked on projects, collaboration, worked on projects with people, and there are only two branches: the main and development. You always know that want to don't push the main. All right, I want to push the main. I forgot to add this thing. Meanwhile, their users have actually gotten the new updates. All right, so there's supposed to be something like development, tests, and main or production branch. The test is supposed to be a simulation of how your production would look like. And you don't have to spend money. GitHub is free, right? So test is like saying I've moved from development to test. Now this test, let me ensure that everything that is there is correct and is good before I eventually push to main. Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, moving from tests to production, it's just like creating branches. Even if you are creating data science projects, it's still the same thing. When you are building your model, you might do a little bit of features engineering. But you know that if you have done features engineering, it means that your data structure has changed.
Yes.
Then if you rebuild your model, it means that your model too has changed. Now you have like version 1 and version 2. Now imagine you have pushed version 1 already. How do your users get to use version 2 safely? So you need to test it rigorously before you can say, okay, this is fit for users to use. All right. The infrastructure skill, I think I've spoken about that. The big demand without downtime. I think we always said DeepSeek suffered from it, ChatGPT suffered from it from inception. Then cost skill, yes. Cost skill, how do you optimize? How do you optimize in the long run? So Said is my guy. When Said brought out the GPT, okay, when he was doing the GPT, there was issue with development because he was using, I think it was using Google. There's this Colab, yes. Now Colab is not exactly Exactly. It's not like the right environment to build LLMs. All right. Especially the free version. It's not.
Yes.
It's not the right environment. So, but then you have to now pay for the pro. You have to even do something. And even with pay for the pro, it took a while because Google on their end, the kind of service that they provision to Colab is not the same as when you actually go on Google Cloud and actually use their compute engine. All right. Now, when it comes to cost scale on resources, do you know that if you're racking up costs on your application server, let's say you're racking up costs in, let's say, 500,000 naira, and you come to meet us, you can actually crash your costs from 500,000 naira to like 5k a month. And that's because there are several processes that many persons are not aware of. I know that we talk about serverless architecture. Many persons do not know what serverless architecture is. So now, applications like Facebook, WhatsApp have to be on every single time. They cannot be any downtime. It means they are being used 24 hours. So the conventional servers, servers like computers that are on 24/7 have to be on. But then there are certain applications that you build that do not have to be available 24/7. So that's where we now come with serverless, which means that you're using a computer that is only when somebody is asking for a demand that it boots up. Once it's done giving that demand, it closes down. You no longer incur costs when it is down. Then when another person wants to ask a question, it comes up, which means that the only time you'll be incurring cost on that particular application is when people use it. But meanwhile, we have people who just host the applications on normal servers, and even nobody's using it, they're racking costs every month. So while you're thinking about your application, you also have to think about how it's going to be used to determine the kind of infrastructure you will provision. If it's an application that is just by need, maybe you're just starting it out, there's no need to put it on a server-based application, server-based infrastructure. Start with serverless. When people start complaining that, of course, serverless can actually scale. All right, so I don't even think people are going to struggle with concurrency. But the issue with serverless is that when it's going to be used for the first time in a day, it takes a while for your application to start off because it has to load the application again from scratch. So when you start getting people getting to have those issues, then you know that you now have to now migrate from serverless to server-based. Now at that point, your perception of your application has changed. Do you understand? Thank you. So why scaling matters? It ensures AI remains fast, accurate, and reliable in real-world conditions. It allows AI to expand across teams, products, or entire enterprises. Prevents failures that only appear under heavy load. Yes. It's not as if some applications are poorly built. It's just because of heavy demand. Some applications start to glitch. All right, and enable sustainable growth and long-term value creation. All right, so yes, AI is not traditional software. So, like I said, I'm an AI and ML engineer at my company, but we also have software engineers. There are times where we come and we collaborate. So, for example, if it's not a core AI product, the AI guys are not the ones that we don't do the backend. But if it's a core AI product, we handle all the backend infrastructure. What I mean is, if it's not a core AI product, what I mean by that is AI is a feature. Then it means that it's a software product with an AI feature. But it's an AI application, there is actually an AI software-based service. Now, but AI is not the same as traditional software. Now, why is that? AI learns, software executes. Software, trust me, is just read and write. You are just even reading from database and writing to database. You actually build an app. Like, if you build software, you know that it's not about reading and writing. Login is reading and writing. Sign up is reading and writing. Checking this, checking that. Because once you check this, check that, you have to go and check this person is authenticated and come back, run one small logic, push back to the DB because you have to store the results in the DB. Even if you are persisting storage, it's still storage is still reading and writing from somewhere. So for traditional software applications, you're just executing something. But for AI is learning. All right. But again, apart from hyper AI applications like ChatGPT and Claude, but not many persons actually put in learning or reinforcement learning in mind when they build application. So you build your own AI software. How do you ensure that your AI software is up to date? What I mean by that is how do you make it more efficient? How is it going to learn from feedback? All right. What we did one time was there was this AI application we built, and it was this chat-based application, and we had thumbs up and thumbs down for every single response that the AI gives. And if the thumbs up and thumbs down, it goes takes it to the database, then we now take it back and give that these are the results for each query you made. So with explanations as to why those results were given or those responses were given by the user, so that the AI can learn from its responses and give the right one the next time. So AI learns, software executes. AI requires human feedback loop. That's what I just talked about. Then AI integrates over time. If you have used one ML model before, then you now go back and maybe with new data, you will notice that it's looking like maybe somebody tampered with your model. That's because of how volatile data is. If data changes, your model will change. So, which means that for a normal software product, the software still remains the same. Even if you come back 5 years, 10 years. Then the only difference is that it might not begin to get slow because other technology have actually advanced. So that's why maybe an application you built in 2005, when you want to run on one application now, on your normal laptops, you're not able to run it. It's very slow to boot because it has not kept up with the times of technology, and that is the only limitation it has. But for AI-based solutions or AI-based applications, 3 months is enough for your data to drift. And once your data drifts, your model will drift, which means your model is no longer relevant to the data that you are testing it for. All right. And then, so traditional systems came by adding servers. AI is more than this. So if you build a website and people are saying, for example, now the solution to NYC problem is just increasing servers, basically. But I suspect that they are using on-premise server, which means that they can on-premise. That's what you want to rush to go and buy more servers. I'm sure they take that particular application to the cloud, right? And they use them with Kubernetes. It's easy for them to scale up with demand and scale down with demand. But that's just a traditional software, right? You can scale and scale. That's the way. But with AI, it's not just about scaling up and scaling down. What about your model? All right. Your application itself is sitting on maybe one CPU. Your model is sitting on another, maybe another GPU. All right. And you have to think about how to handle requests on your model and handle requests on the application. Because people can log in on the application, but people might not be able to use your model. So it's more than scaling up and scaling down servers. You have to think about model drift, data drift. You have to think about expiability of your model. Your model might no longer become relevant for its use case. Maybe there's a new variable and you have to retrain and do more features engineering. So solving problems on AI softwares are not just about scaling up and scaling down. So these are the distinct differences between AI and traditional software. Yeah, so let's look at AI architecture design. Yes. Microservices versus monolithic approach. So almost everybody that writes in Python wants to build a fast API. Right? But once upon a time, we used to do the Flask way or Django. But now it's much easier for us to do the fast API. Just build this as a micro framework. Just have APIs that one backend person will call. But then when it comes to building AI systems, whether it's going to be a monolithic application or a microservice application is dependent on what you want to achieve. Now, in an AI system, the monolithic approach is when all components, so your data preprocessing, your model training, your inference, your business logic, live in one large code base. Let me explain what this means. It's like saying you have one Twitter notebook, and you now created one dev function, and all your data processing to inference is in one full pipeline. Which means that if you want to run, maybe you have a new data, maybe there's a data drift, and you want to retrain your model, you just have to run that function, and everything run at once. But it's also very possible for you to have your data processing in one notebook. You have your features engineering in another notebook. You have your model training in another notebook. Then you also have your model inference in another notebook. Do you understand? Now that is a microservice framework approach. While having all that process in one particular cell is a monolithic approach. For most of us, it's much easier to do the monolithic approach because you are seeing what you are doing at once, rather than having it in different files. Okay, but of course, you know that you cannot build solutions in Jupyter Notebook, right? So you have to write scripts for that. Okay. No, sorry, go up, sorry. Yeah, so when it comes to making decisions between monolithic systems and microservices systems, you have to think about things like costs. For example, if you are building an MVP, monolithic is easiest to do. You just have one script, do everything, push it to GitHub, run it on maybe stream it or something. The application is working. Nobody cares how you are doing it on them. It's an MVP, right? Of course, an MVP. So nobody, they are just testing. Use it, let's see. But we are thinking about the long-term value of the application and sustainability, right? Especially when I also think about teamwork in mind. You're going to have like 1, 2, 3 data scientists working on this model solution. Everybody cannot be working on the same notebook, can they? No. So if you are working on collaboration, one person has to focus on features engineering. One person has to focus on, let's say, parameter tuning. One person has to focus on, let's say, model assembly. Now, they have to work in different environments, which means there have to be separate scripts for each of these, and it's just based on one collaboration. So instead of GitHub, we can have like that job. So that job is like the GitHub of data science for collaboration. Yeah, check it out. Yeah, that's all. So, so you now see that again when you are building your application, how you are going to design the solution. You are thinking about the long-term side of your solution. If it's a quick MVP, just do one straight script, push it, test it, everybody is happy. But then you know that for it to be sustainable over time, you have to break it down into chunks so that people can work and collaborate on it. Alright. Now, you want to now make it look like your Claude or your OpenAI. It means that you start having backenders, frontenders coming together to use your application. And then when you want to start resolving bugs, you can now come to the same script where all your codes are written and resolve bugs. So now, you are going to be very prone to error. Something will shift and you don't know what are shifting. Alright. But when you have your application in certain modules, it's easy for you to attack the module with the problem. Alright, so that's where we think about microservices and monolithic. So model service strategies and batch and load time. Yes. How many of us have built a pickle file before? Pickle file from your model. Yeah, pickle file. Is that?
What is export your model?
Trust me, people do export models. So that's why the people. That's why anytime I hear it never makes sense to me as well. When I hear people say, "Oh, you don't pick," I mean, your models will not sit in Jupyter Notebook. The models are supposed to get to production. Yes. So if they are still in Jupyter Notebook, it means that model has not actually learned.
There's no model.
There's no model. All right. You just have something that you built and you tested. Nobody's using it. Okay. Now, people find a way of actually serving your model for people to use, which means that you can actually just export the people file so that you can now perform inference on your model on something else. Now, when it comes to AI solutions or AI applications, for AI models, you might want to serve your AI model with reserve, right? Reserve is serving LLMs on whether on let's say on website or web applications, actually. And for model serving, you determine how predictions or generations are delivered, either in large scheduled jobs or instantly via an API. Yes. So there's something I learned this year when it came to solution architecture, is that sometimes your solution does not have to be real-time inference. Now, what do I mean by real-time inference? Like when you ask ChatGPT a question, it gives you an instant answer. That is real-time. But in other solutions, you just need to do batch inference. Batch inference means that if the sensitivity of your application is not high. The sensitivity of use. If you don't answer on time, nothing is spoiled. People will not be unsatisfied. Then instead of trying to commit resources to answering instantly, you can just batch requests and process it. Do you understand? So when it comes to also architecting your AI application, you have to think about whether you want to batch requests or run real-time inference. And it depends on the kind of application you are building. All right. So there was, let me give an example of a product. Yes. So it was a recommender system, all right, and it was for a company to buy. And what the other thing was, they handle products and services like your bill payment and all that. And they wanted to serve recommender systems as a service. So meaning that if imagine you have an application, but guys like Airtel, Glo, MCN, they allow people, no, let's say guys like Access Bank, Wema, or these people that actually sell cards, use your application. So people come to your application to access those services. So they wanted to use recommender systems as a service. So because we know that the customers come to our platform and they try to order things through our platform, but we now divide them. What we do is we use the customer data and we now recommend to you the product that your customers will want to buy maybe after every 30 days or 15 days, right? And we knew that building it as a real-time solution doesn't make sense because the only time you need a recommendation for your customers is 2 times monthly, middle of the month and end of the month. If you build as a real-time solution, it's fine. You will not just query the model, right? It's only when you need that you want to query it. But then it doesn't help anybody. That means that your server has to be on or has to be alive every single time. But then we said, since the goal of this solution, this application, is to only give recommendations twice monthly, why don't we now do the serverless approach? Which means that the only time your servers will be on are 2 times in a month. All right, and then using, we'll get to that later, right? Using batch inference, we take all customers, whether it's customer ID and their customer data, right? Of course, we're going to get data for the last 30 days, train it, then get the model. They now recommend for all the customers, let's go to a column. They recommend for all the customers, then we push it out. They will do that 2 times daily. Trust me, that is 100 times cheaper than when you have a real-time recommendation engine actually working. So you see now that batch inference is not bad. Batch inference is based on your need, yes, and your solution that wants to be built. But cases like real-time inference, ChatGPT, you need the answers at that particular period of time. ChatGPT cannot tell that you wait for 2 hours for your response to come because they have to answer every other person. So it's real-time. Now let's look. I want us to work together. When it comes to forecasting, what do you think? Batch inference or real-time inference? Are you sure?
I don't know. It depends on what you are doing. Okay. If for example, if you are thinking of with stock exchange or something like that, it's real time.
Okay. What about batch?
Okay, batch now. Okay. No.
Okay, for instance, now in batch, maybe you are giving clients maybe you want to give them advice on how to budget money. This is not something you need. Maybe they need that budgeting, more like forecasted budget stuff, maybe at the end of the week. And that's not real time. That's bad.
That's good. How about customer segmentation?
Batch.
Okay. What about facial recognition?
Real time.
Recommendation.
Real time.
No, just give an example of that. It's case by case. Case by case. If I'm talking to madam in the real time.
Yes.
But sometimes it can be processed for you based on your time zone. So you just come on Jumia and you just depend on the kind of recommendations you are doing. If the recommendation is based on activity, it's real time. But if the recommendation is based on let's say, when you activity as you are clicking,
Guessing.
guessing for yes. But if it's based on, let's say, past interactions, that can be done overnight. Yes. You just open your app on, how do you know that I actually like this? Yes, so that's batch. So it's a mix of batch and real time. How about document processing?
It could be both.
Case by case.
Case by case.
So,
Yeah, if my company, if it's like private for a company, so maybe we know where we need it. But let me say, if it's a service I'm offering, that means it can come at any time.
Yeah, it has to be real time. Yeah. All right. So I think you understand where we use batch and real time. Nice. So I think we're moving on. Next slide. Yeah. Yeah. So AI systems can be event driven, and so I think I just explained that. Event driven as far you can actually schedule when your AI software should run. I explained that with the recommendation system. You can schedule it to run maybe on the 15th of this month and the 30th of the month. Right? That means you are running the server on the 15th, maybe it has to retrain because there's now new data. And once it's retrained, performs inference, stores the result in, let's say, an object storage or a database, and then you can just go and pull your results from there. Then serverless, meaning that when it's done, the server shuts down, there's no longer cost when you're on your application. Right. Yes. So model architecture choices. I think majority of Nigerian AI engineers are in this box. We are in this box. Myself and Felix, we work in the same company. So there's a day like that we're crashing out and like, now wow, when are we going to train this model now? Because it's not as if we can't do this. I think I actually fine-tuned a model this year for a customer. But then that was more of we've actually built the normal one based on API first. Then now to show you what is possible with fine-tuning. Not that you're actually going to adopt it to, see, it works. You can own your own model, but trust me, businesses only care about how they make money and not use a lot of money. So they are not ripe at that point to start provisioning money to host their own models and start serving it to customers. Because already there's not a large adoption of the solution first to even say you want to start investing money in it. So those first gather usage from their customer. Once they now see, okay, we have a whole lot of traffic to the application, then maybe trying to pay API credits does no longer make sense. Infrastructure wise, let us now have our own model that we can maintain, all right, we can manage. Because whether you like it or not, if you are calling model APIs, they actually try to contain your throttling speed. If you try to run, if you build applications that are run in parallel, for example, if you call, let's say, OpenAI, right, from your account, and you run a lot of agents in parallel, you actually notice that there are some restrictions in how it's being used. Either you get an error on throttling speed, or you just find that you're just running, just to maybe make a lot of calls lately. For example, I use AWS Bedrock as AWS Bedrock is like Grok, that's GROQ. GROQ is that platform that allows you call open source models as APIs. So instead of you hosting your own open source model, right, you can call Llama, you can call Mistral as APIs, yes. So AWS Bedrock is like a model service, a model catalog with a lot of models. Now with Bedrock, because Bedrock is serving this model to you, I think that other users are using that service. They manage the throttling speed. That's how the model actually responds to you. Now, those are the restrictions that will come to you when you have a whole lot of customers hitting your application. But if you have it once in a while, you don't have to worry. So when it comes to now building agents that have to run in parallel and you're having people hitting your application, hitting your servers at the same time, you have issues like that and your applications will start failing. So which means that you have to leave this box, all right, and when you come to this box, or come to this box. All right. So when it comes to hybrid, it depends too. If you have like maybe an application that is very data sensitive, you might not want to use an API-based model service. You want to use an open source model that you manage your own cloud infrastructure, or use an hybrid So for less data sensitive applications, you can call an API just to manage costs. But for more sensitive ones, you can just use an open source model or train your own model. Actually. Right. So I struggle to actually get a picture for MLOps, unless you actually use AI ops. But how AWS interpreted their AI ops is basically using AI models or AI software in existing software applications. It didn't make sense to me. So I just said it's just safer to use MLOps. And it all comes from design plan. All right. Design plan. This is
Plan,
plan, design, build, test, CI/CD, like I explained, then deploy, operate, and monitor. So, like I said, you plan. Think about your application long time. Don't just think about it at the present moment. Design the infrastructure side, even if you want to use Streamlit, even if you want to use GitHub Actions, even if you want to use, let's say, whether you want to use Render or you want to use Vue or whatsoever, you have to think about the number of users that will use it and how long it's going to stay online for. Then, once you plan it, you design it properly. Design my CPU crudely on paper, and then you build, you test. Now, you see, you not see test and deploy.
No.
There's what CI/CD, right? So that while you are testing, you are pushing it to a buffer zone that makes somebody else will come and check and test. Then take it to deploy, operate, people using it. Then you now monitor usage. All right. OpenAI monitors our usage on ChatGPT every single day. So they, in a way, they can actually restrict your usage of the model at any point in time. So that's how Claude is the worst. Claude just knows when you are using it. I have a colleague of mine, Emeka. Emeka, if you are hearing me, I'm calling you out. So he's Claude's master, right? He knows how to properly prompt engineer. He's not an engineer, he's a cloud engineer. He knows how to properly prompt engineer. And we are in this joint Teams account. Once it's like 2 p.m., 1 p.m. Which one is Claude Anthropic telling us that we maxed out limits? We just started work. Meanwhile, Maker has been prompting. He knows how to structure it, run the input tokens. And so these are the things that Anthropic actually monitor. They monitor your usage so that these other people can use it too. All right. And another way they do it is so that they want to ensure that bots are not using your service or using your application. Especially when it is free, even when it's not free too. Because I don't think currently Anthropic, I don't think they actually, well, I think they are profiting. But even at that, one of the ways that DeepSeek was able to make that model faster, right, and cheaper was because they were able to prompt OpenAI models. I can't remember the name now. It's a technique in LLM engineering where you have a bigger model and a smaller model. Then you prompt the bigger model to give answers to questions. They use that question and answer to train the smaller model. So the smaller model learns how the bigger model thinks. So it's a teacher-student relationship. Now, I'm sure DeepSeek was doing that. They were hitting OpenAI servers like say there was no tomorrow. So over time, besides restricting access to how often you hit the server, so if there's an activity on their servers that look like a bot action, you can actually restrict that IP or restrict that account using it. So you also have to think about that in your application, because if you are building one simple application and you are running it on maybe your small OpenAI credits, maybe $100, you now put it online, then somebody is just spamming it. In less than 5 minutes, $100 credit to finish. So you also have to monitor usage, all right? So you have things like Grafana to do that. Okay, then monitor and you come back and plan. Yes. So I think, all right. So my favorite playbook. When someone comes to me, I'm done. All right. When someone comes to me, all right, and they say, "Oh, we have this idea for our business. We want to build a solution." The first thing I do is let's define the problem. It is very possible that what you need is not an LLM-based application. What you might need is a rule-based solution. But everybody these days wants to just hit AI. on their solution, we are doing AI. But in most cases, what you need is a rule-based approach. Rule-based is if and else. And your solution is good to go. So let us know that you have a problem first. It's when we define the problem, they will now validate the use case. Like what you want to build. Does it make sense to your business both in the short term or the long term? If it does, then trust me, there's no need doing it. Alright? And then we choose the architecture. Are we going serverless? Or are we going server-based architecture? Are we going monolith? Or are we going what's the other one? Microservice framework. Yeah. And then build an MVP. So at this point, for the MVP, it's more like you want to build a small demo to show that this thing is possible. So a monolith, mostly use monolith for it because you don't exactly want to start hosting the front end. So you use Streamlit or something. And Streamlit, you don't have to go fast API, which means you can just build it as a monolith pipeline. And then deploy with MLOps, of course. At this point, you have to think about CI/CD, right? CI/CD on the data side, CI/CD on the model side, then CI/CD on your application itself. Then monitor and iterate, right? Then scale with automation and infra, right? At this point, scaling at this point is more like, say, based on your server needs, how many concurrent users do you want to configure? What is the memory? How much memory do you want to configure for your server? How much storage do you want to configure for your server? Do you want to move from a document database to a relational database? In most cases, what you need for your solution is not a relational database. Relational databases are more expensive than document DBs. In some cases, your document DB is like a database for like JSON structure. In most cases, a document DB is okay for your solution. Document DB is like DynamoDB. It's okay for your solution. So you now think about, should we store things like user details on a relational database? Or should we store things like AI results on a document DB? So we don't incur costs, right? Storage and infrastructure wise. Right, so we have to think about scaling at that point. And yeah, thank you very much. Any questions at all? Yes, please.
So my question is when you brought up ML ops, something like a life cycle.
Yeah.
It's very similar to software development life cycle. And I saw that the red test was before continuous integration, continuous delivery. And then after that, you have to deploy, monitor, and everything. So after deployment and operation, you don't test. You have to go back to plan and go back to the same process again.
I mean, that's just. I mean, it's not that you have to follow that life cycle the way I it is. Yes, it's very possible that when you do deploy, you see that there's a bug. You have to test it. So we are just showing that because that's if everything is alright. No problem. But we know that everything is not always alright. Yes.
So my second question is, you get to hear like engineers in AI, data scientists in AI. What of QA in AI, like the people that test, like in your company now or your line of work? Is it quality assurance engineers that test your work, or you, the engineers and data scientists?
I think the AI field is still evolving. There are some names. What I mean names like, I'm trying to call them now. What do you call? Yeah, names that are frankly changing in role and responsibilities. Do you understand? So over time, you know, it was about like last year or this year, and I started into like AI software engineering, from AI engineer. Okay. And now it's like it is now AI scientist. Okay. And there is now, I understood ML engineer and ML scientist, but AI scientists. Right. So the thing is, roles are changing. The same way you have a data scientist and you are looking at the JD. What they're expecting from you that was able to build RAG application. I never expected to even build traditional ML models like your XGBoost or linear regression. I never seen statistical processes as part of your JD. You are seeing AI-based problems or AI-based solutions as part of your JD. So right now, I think it's a little too early to begin to plaster responsibilities to certain names. So people just create names I read there was one JD I saw. It was machine learning, machine intelligence scientist, machine intelligence engineer. I mean, what they were not looking for was a generative AI engineer. Right. So right now I think it's too early to plaster, it's my opinion. But where I work, there's not exactly a QA. What we have are project managers. The project managers actually double as QA. Right. So because they are the ones managing the applications, they are the ones that have the requirement documents. They test what should be expected from the solution and test what should not be expected from the solution. For example, now we built a computer vision application some days back, and while I knew what to test for, the part of me was not ready for the outbreak. Until project manager actually tested it and showed me, I was like, I was expecting it, but I wanted to believe that that particular model was not going to be that way. But yeah, it broke my heart. So the thing now is that for testing AI applications, we already have QA for conventional software engineering. AI is a little bit different because you need to have a foundational understanding of how models work. You understand? It takes knowledge to know that when you build a computer vision model for facial recognition, you also have to think about there's this this technology is in my mind now. Testing if so you put a picture on the model, if the model is able to capture if it's actually a picture or a real human face. It requires proper model understanding to know if the model will actually flag it as not the person. There's something I've forgotten the name now. It's called life something. All right. So for a QA AI engineering, you need to have at least the basic knowledge of how models work, whether it's computer-based models. For example, now listen to another model that's supposed to be Nigerian accented, but you know that this is actually far from what we say. All right, and then you have to figure out this is the problem, this one needs to be changed, and it's not just about saying it did not work, it worked, it did not work, it worked. That's not the QA. That's not a QA's job. It's part of it, but like you said, quality assurance. This is what it's feeling. This is what it should be. All right. So, like I said, it's evolving. All right, and now just read, Sha.
Why I asked is because I'm actually a QA, quality assurance engineer. So I'm confused as this AI is coming for our jobs, and I'm not really that particular about building AI systems, but I would love to be part of the conversation. So I'm trying to find out like what type of things should I study to get more information. Do I have to like just forget about QA test, or I have to like start building the foundation? Like how do I position myself in the sense that when there actually is a role of QA in AI, I'll be available to test?
Yeah. So what I've seen people doing is even as you training that part and see if you can actually build an AI solution that can be built. But the problem is that there are various case scenarios that the model might not think of or think about, that someone with an experience in software engineering will actually think about. Plus, it's not every aspect of your system that they want to expose to an AI model. That's another. All right. Again, for example, if your model is not a monolithic application, how do you start bringing all the various frameworks you build together and say you start testing? If it's monolithic, it's just expose the code base to it, and you just try and do a lot of debugging and a lot of testing. But what we do right now is not monolithic. So if you have decentralized applications, it's difficult for the model to actually use context to test what needs to be tested. So for you, I feel like you should just keep up. I know it's hard keeping up with what's happening, but trust me, it's hard. It's hard.
I feel like for the basics right now, to transition, to position yourself better, you understand how QA works already. That's perfect. Yeah. So the other thing you have to understand is how do the model work? From what framework? I mean, how do the data transform into models, and how do the data affect the application?
So you should even that would even help you know what to test for. Yes. I would not be able to
I don't know if I should ask me as a question or make it as a comment. But okay, let me ask as a question. Like, in terms of testing, right? In AI, we have safety teams, right? And these guys are, I think, they're kind of synonymous to.
In a normal organization, we have
Yes, they are synonymous to the quality assurance. So there is the MLOps part, and then there is the AI part. They are not the same. Okay, so the MLOps is more like the engineering part. So in engineering, of course, we have quality assurance. They do quality assurance. When it comes to the AI models themselves, that's where you have these red teamers. You have people whose core job is to find faults in the system. You have people whose core job is to look at context, measure cultural context, measure all those other things. So QA is broad in when it comes to it's not like okay, you have QA is engineered by QA, but then you have like this team, they call them safety teams that handle things.
And in most cases, the safety teams are actually engineers themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, actually engineers themselves. So, but I mean, still be part of the narrative, still read, broaden your knowledge, or just understand how things work. Read up on blogs, read up on conversations. For example, when ChatGPT came out, I didn't even think they were even ready for QA, so they didn't even have that in plan. But you could literally have GPT-3 at that point to show you how to build an atomic bomb. Like to tell you from the chemical properties to the nuclear property, everything. Yeah, sorry, chemical to the kind of things you should get. Over time, when OpenAI started saying that there was no restriction on the kind of contents that you should give out, then I think they probably now started employing QA guys. I think their QA team is actually very large. People testing it is actually very, very large. A large number of people testing. They are testing different things. There's even a time where it was always referring a doctor as he and a nurse as she. But is that true? No. But then it's because of the kind of data it was built on. All nurses, most nurses are females. It's not as most doctors are males, but I think if you check that population, most doctors are male. That was captured in the model and captured in the data, then taken to the model. So over time, we now started looking at it like gender bias, cultural bias, those are that kind of things. So I think you should start reading up on QA testers and incidences of AI. That will give you an idea of the kind of things that these teams actually test when they are trying to ship an AI model into production. So, any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
He's also one of our community members. Just so you know. That's why you're like, oh, yeah. Hey, so I'm sure you guys are probably getting hungry or something.
Yes.
Yeah, so like food is coming. I think it's right. So, and in the meantime, okay. So we have some guys on YouTube joining us, and they've been quite active even during interactive session. They've also been comments. By the way, how has been today like so far? Did you learn anything new?
Yes, I learned.
Okay, so what's them what you learned? Something new that you learned that you never heard before in your life.
Not really something new, but it was additional, especially the interactive section we had with the first speaker.
And his own section was actually very, very high volume. Like the scaling, how you should put that into consideration in whatever you are building, and then the other section. So it's opened my eyes to thinking critically. Like you can do so many things. Don't just say you want to just learn. Think of something different that you want to build. There are so many things that you can do with genetic AI. What's said?
Wow. So for me, I'm saying what I got from the sessions, the first one and the second one is that is
it's more of the reality of AI. Like it's already here because if you're online, a lot of people are talking about like random people in your community say, "Oh, I built this, I built that." But these are people that are already in the real traditional jobs. What like the first guy literally gave AI literally took his job and built the AI that took his job. So when people say, "Oh, AI is taking our job," you see that some type of far concept. But this session just opened my eyes to the reality that it's already here and people are actively working with AI in real time in this country.
Yeah, I think that that's like super real. I don't know. And also, by the way, anybody who is following us on Twitter or who is not following us on Twitter, if you're not following us on Twitter, just kindly
And I got to know from the last session that he had an AI interview, and I'm like,
yeah,
crazy.
That's really cool. So kindly follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Meetup if you're not already, because we have like a whole lineup of many other activities. If you remember, there was time we sent on the group that we're trying to collect feedback. If you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, stuff like that. So we'll keep running polls like that from time to time because we want to do things that the community is interested in. It's not like a dictatorship where some people up there say this is what we're going to do and everybody must agree, right? So we want to bring in that interaction to the community, and I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it. So we're supposed to have a third speaker actually, but unfortunately, he's not around. He actually thought the event was yesterday, and today he already made like another plan for today. So that's so sad. So he was supposed to take the hands-on session on actually building agentic AI, right? But not to worry, we have like another event of that. Also, next month we're having a Twitter space. Yeah. So it's the end of the year. Like we've gone through a lot. I don't know, my year has been crazy. Like ups and downs, nearly get fired. Like we're talking about AI stuff or more. I felt it really hard, like in my company, when they're like, expect you to have done that, use ChatGPT, and you're like,
Were you expected to use ChatGPT? Like,
yes, I was expected. Like, okay, I know I use ChatGPT, but I still feel like some things I should do them myself, right? And what man they're like, why use ChatGPT? Like,
I want to turn you to web coder.
Everything use ChatGPT. Like, they expect results, sharp. And if I don't do like that, they fire me tomorrow.
They fired one guy on he made a YouTube, they fired him. He was slow to gain. I don't like it. They stopped inviting him for meetings. I just only said one day you can go.
You can go, right? And that's like
They actually fired him.
Yes, because they don't want to use.
Yes. The truth is that this you're making use of AI.
It's not all company that allows.
It's not
AI.
Because we still
Like in my own company, they don't like.
It depends on, I feel like it depends on the industry you're working in. For example, now, I work, like, I had a contract with an health organization. I was supposed to do a market survey for them and then build up a dashboard and train, like, after the market survey, then go into their customer service data, to try to train on the data. The first thing in the contract was, do not expose the data to any.
No,
Yes.
exactly. You
Yeah.
can use AI without exposing that.
Yeah, I understand, but do not expose to any of the LLMs. So it depends on, like, I feel like the way you use your data, the way you use AI depends on the industry you are working in. So
Personally, like I see that as a tool. Like we have the internet. The way I rather use a kind of tracking. Right? So using a car means that I need to now put extra effort into doing exercise if I want to give up my health. So but using a car will get me there faster. Right? So but there's the disadvantage of okay, I have to work on my health. So there's an AI tool. So there's advantages, possible disadvantages if I'm not getting it. That maybe I don't know, maybe I'm working less. I may be using my brain less. Which is personally, I'm still that is my brain. The way you have personalized, so get exactly what you want. So I see that as like right now it's a tool that I use to like increase my productivity.
Yes.
So, but of course, I have to be intentional. So, like, if I'm a developer, like, I will use AI. It doesn't mean I'm vibe coding. No, it means that I can finish 2 weeks projects in 2 days.
The truth
Like,
is that
it
you
could
will
be
debug some things from that code is actually right for you.
Yeah, of course. No, so best time because I'm more into data science, right? But my current job, we have to learn everything. So, so I think a current phobia I have is because I was using Cursor, so I don't let it be empty for me. I'm like I personally I used to ask my PM, my project manager, okay, now plan it for me, tell me what to do step by step. Then I will type it myself, so that's when I also debug. I know where it is. If not, if you put everything for you, like debug, you're not like, okay, now there are 7 files. Where do I start from?
7 files.
Yeah, exactly. So personally, I see that as a tool like I can use to improve my productivity. But now I have to be conscious of safety, and of course also use my brain because it will do rubbish for you. Like you need to go now. Exactly, but it will do rubbish for you. And you'll be like, what's happening?
And you find that you now find out that you're doing times 2 times 3 of what exactly you're expected to do.
Yeah. And that's fair. So imagine maybe you have to save time, right? This period will take 2 weeks. Now I've done it in 2 days, but now the bug will not take like 4 months. So the 2 years we have to also be careful here. But I don't think that's something that you have to fight. Like the science came and it changes, but
I'm not saying fighting. It's not about fighting. It's just about safety. The way you interact with it depends on the industry and how you're safeguarding both your own personal data and the data of your clients you're working with. So, for using AI I feel like when people say, okay, you type in, using, like you said, prompting, prompt engineering is a really, really big skill.
I think I can do that for you too. You're going to give sick. I want to do this, so please give me the prompts to take that. Honestly, that's what we give it.
But you know that
Even if you call that lipstick.
Even if you do that, at that point, you still need to find some.
Yes. But I'm not the first thing for me, so I don't do read it now. Instead of come up with my head, so I don't do read it.
You're still making use of it.
Yes, of course.
So, but the process we're using it is just that it might not be the traditional way. Okay, somebody was saying that. Okay, I read an article on, okay, AI is here. Say AI is going to take a job. It's not going to take a job. The way we code, before now, they say, okay, coding was in binary. If somebody developed C, and then C++ case, and then somebody, okay, why would you be doing C and C++? They are too technical. Somebody came up with Python and JavaScript and Java, and it keeps evolving. All these JavaScript, Java, Python, everything, they are based on C and C++. Then the Rust came. See, the environment keeps changing. Then AI is coming. AI is based on Python, JavaScript, and every other thing like that. So, how do you now move your coding level from writing binary to writing with AI? So, you're still technically using your brain, but in different direction on the foundations that have been built. Is you working? If you are not the same person tilling the ground, it's just a farmer that started using hoe, and then there's a tractor that can do a large amount of work for you. And you feel like, oh, because tractor is going to take it, it's going to, yes, there's going to be disadvantage on it. It's going to, some of your soil are going to be compact, might not be useful for you to plant your crops again. But it's going to do a whole lot of work for you. And you're going to have a lot more harvest. So that's the way I see using AI, LLMs in your work. But now, how do you use it? How do you make it beneficial for you? And how do you safeguard your data? So that's the where you use your brain, where you maximize your own human intelligence.
You wanted to say something?
No, you wanted to say something.
I wanted to speak on what he said.
I think it was about when he said you use DeepSeek, ChatGPT, and Claude together to ask for the prompt. I think that's very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, you were talking about giving the AI, telling the AI to give you a prompt. So AI will just give you prompt based on what it's been built on. Like, you should just say, just like you come to her and say, okay, give me snacks that I can eat. She'll just give you snacks that the one she's selling. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Maybe she sells something and she has different type of snacks in her shop. And you came to her and say, okay, just give me snacks that I want to sell. So she will give you what she has, not what you need. She will give you what she has. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That's one thing about when you're asking AI to give you some. Yeah.
I think that's really nice, and I hope to for us to have like more of these conversations, right? And so join our Twitter space, tell your friends about it. And also about the open source project. You guys saw it, right?
Yes.
So we asked people to vote though.
They voted.
Yes, but we're expecting like more responses. So the idea of the open source project is that we want for the people they not even contribute, they don't know what it really means to contribute to open source projects, right? And this is supposed to like offer you a great start, right? So that you have like a public, it's more like a building public thing because you can always refer to it. Your GitHub commit is a GitHub commit. Your accepted pull request is always forever there, and it's something that speaks for you even many years to come, right? And so we have like some ideas of like projects that we thought of, and again, this is also open. If you feel like you have like more pressing, or more interesting projects, you could also add that to like backlog. But we want to start like maybe one project at a time because we're still like a growing community, and then see if you're able to scale that like multiple projects. So the most voted project was on missing person. Like in my head, like okay, not that it's bad, but like I really wanted to understand people's like why did you pick that project? Why was it important to you?
So many posters.
This
recent
months,
there are a lot of posters. This recent month, there are a lot of posters. Like this last quarter. I joined like since September. I've seen a lot.
Oh, you saw it.
Yeah.
Which one did you pick?
The
Missing person. Why did you pick it?
What you picked is missing, right?
No, I don't.
How did you pick it?
Just because we're in Nigeria and that particular
We
case
have
is
security
very-
issues
Yeah, we have
and-
security issues and we don't have the system
that helps
Okay,
us
that
to
helps.
mitigate all these things that are happening. And again, maybe I have experienced it. Like I was going to work that day. I got kidnapped at Olepan. Instead of coming to VIA, they turned back at this bridge before you get to Fade. There is this bridge there. Jibo. Instead of they were repairing this road then Costain, so the car normally passed through Jibo. Instead of going straight down to Yaba, he turned back and came back as if he's going to Ikeja. So everything happened. Like that day was a terrible day for me, 30th of September last year. So anytime I remember, so that trauma used to come back again. So this year again, something like that happened to someone along that road. Unfortunately, they took them to Ojuelegba. They stayed there for like 4 days. Yes, in this Lagos, yes. You just have to be careful. So many things I've heard of after my own incident, right? So this thing, so that was why I chose that project. Like, to be very honest, and again, it's not only in Lagos.
other
As
parts of
well.
the state.
It wasn't like this before.
right?
It wasn't like this.
It's actually a major issue, security in Nigeria as a whole now. Even this WhatsApp status is now a new thing to see this person is missing, the post
Yes.
for reach.
Do you get
It's now
it?
like common. So with this kind of an application now, you can even get to wider, not just people on your contact list. and people that you are begging to share. Right, that's how I picked.
That's right. Okay, you didn't pick it. Why? Like, why did you pick the one you picked? What did you pick? The second one. Yeah. I didn't really see it as something so rampant like that. Yeah, no, when she now said in Lagos, like it happened.
You've never heard of Ocean?
It happened in Lagos.
That's what this
Please.
is.
I've never witnessed it before. It's just hearing that yes, 4 days in Lagos.
I've been getting personal data on what to avoid. Like, was it any yellow bus or a car?
See, let me just tell you.
Was it a car?
You know, like normal car. The one that happened to those people, yellow bus, yes, Korope, it happened. My colleague almost entered that one too from this bridge, this barracks, Obonika down to VI. He almost entered with that.
When it comes to VI, okay, now
the thing almost happened to him. So all these things, you cannot just say how it happened or something. They have different tactics for this thing.
Oh, okay, let's not go into
Traumatize you.
Okay. And also, like, you also want more interaction on the group page. So when we send message, Joe, Evawa respond, right? We will also, you know that like people have different job schedules. Some people like it's that time that they're just coming from work and support. It is just good so that we know that we have a community that is listening to us, right? Community that is interested in, and we're also interested in, right? And so she has gone to pick the food downstairs. Praise God, finally came. There was a lot of misdelivery issues.
It wasn't kidnapped.
It wasn't kidnapped. No. So that's great. So I think we can also end with like a introduction of each other. I think I'm just saying I've seen some cases before, maybe I've like other events before, but I don't really know. So introduce just your name, where you work, if you are working, where you are based, and what are the current things that you're working on. Like I know we did that on the group, I want to put like faces to those snakes. Yes. So who's gonna start? I don't know. Sorry, what's your name?
Oh, what did you start from
exactly.
me?
You start. I know my name. You just start.
Okay. Yeah. My name is Nima. I've met you before at Indaba this year. So I actually work as a data scientist presently, but I want to move to AI, ML, sort of like research team. And currently, I joined two hackathons. One is Women in Cloud. We are currently on it. Want to build a something around customer recommendation for marketing. So I'm open to projects, collaboration, and new opportunity. Actually, I want to leave my company. Okay, no, come
Cut off camera. Cut off camera.
So I'm also a twin, so I love saying that. Yeah, and I live here in Lagos. Yeah.
Identical twin.
Not really.
Your twin is a female.
Yeah, sure.
So why you not really?
Just a matter of speaking. And she's a Nigerian.
Nima.
She very beautiful.
That's Nima.
That's Nima.
It's N-I.
Oh, it's Nima. Right.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
My name is Blessing Sylvie. So I'm think something new, but I'm thinking to so I just
It's a live stream, I cannot cut it away. Or you won't see it.
What are you currently involved in? Like working with them?
Yeah, I said gadget like
Oh,
Junior,
okay, laptop.
Junior come down and then also have to
Really? Wow. So in case you need to get gadgets, you are plugged. Okay, that's good. So, excuse. Hi everyone. Hi. Okay, let me straight into the camera. Yeah, my name is Ruth, and I work as a data analyst with Organ Host. Organ is a web hosting company here in Nigeria. I'm trying to transit into the cloud as a security analyst, which I'm currently on the journey. And I like to connect mostly with how, because you say something about cloud. Many clouds. Yeah, that's the hackathon part of it, because my early days, I always involved in hackathon a lot. Yeah. So that's all for me, and nice to try.
everybody's doing modest. Okay. Oh. Thank you. Sure.
Okay, my name is Ryan. I'm freelance. So I like I said, I'm a freelancer, but before now I've worked as a data consultant to say. It's in both a financial consulting firm and then for health consulting firm as well. Currently I became a freelancer because I want to finish a course with New York University, a data science course with New York University, and first year as a freelancer.
Wow. Nice. Okay.
Okay, so my name is Chidoba, and like I've said before, I'm a QA engineer. I just started QA like 15 years ago because I just graduated too. So I'm still new into the corporate lifestyle, fairly new. So I would like to, I'm just curious. I have a lot of interest in cloud, security, QA, and I would like to like I've been taking online training and bootcamps on this topic, and I would like to still work with QA, especially in the banking or health sector for the time being. But I also like to have security experience, cyber security, in knowing because the world is going global now, so security is a very important way to go, both traditionally and on the cloud. So I'm also curious about that area, and I would probably like to work in the government part of security.
That's so nice. Okay, nice.
My name is Obina Polytechnic. I currently work in coordination technology. The finance, the tech company in a finance ecosystem. So I'm in the data team. I'm saying the data team because it's kind of complicated. It's a big ecosystem, but so the tech company now, content technology, so it's kind of new. So that's why it's going to receive like a startup, but it's a big company, but technology company is kind of like a startup. Yeah. So it's like many companies in.
Is it the coronation we know?
Which coronation? The coronation insurance, coronation merchant bank. Yeah, merchant bank, exactly. So there are many finance companies, right?
Yeah.
So now we now also have a technology company to service those that yeah. So come and bank with us. So we have mutual funds offering like instead of let's say your money just sit there like
Are
your
you
money giving interest. Yeah, condition one. It's not too late. It's not too late.
It's not too late.
You can start one by anyways. I'm selling my business. And what else? Yeah, but I'm interested in social projects. Like so, before I started pursuing my data science career back to back, I think I started first of all working as an intern in an NGO. So, but of course, so I've been looking about it. I think mostly one for the other. So now that I'm currently fully in data science, so I'm doing projects surrounding social projects. So I've been exploring more or less. I believe that I can in Nigeria. I can push for in Nigeria more or less. So and I'm looking for ways to do that more or less. I take that just a lot. So if you're going to be around me a lot, I apologize in advance. What else? Yeah, more than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also in education space. I have a bit of experience in teaching.
Is it the edtech space?
Yeah, for instance, my first data science job was a data science instructor. So I took about a year in an edtech firm before I got into the industry. Yeah. I also studied math education too, so university. So yeah.
So you can take the course.
Yeah, I can. I'm also looking at lecturing.
On-site or remote?
Anyone, maybe part-time.
Yes, it should be part-time, but it should be anyone.
I don't fly to South Africa.
You
can pay me, like, why not?
Okay.
Myself, Nas, Sosa, they are like in the PyData team. I think one other person couldn't make it. She's not in the bus, right? About us, I don't know.
I think you just can go by one.
Well, the thing is, we would love to, but we're supposed to be here by 1, and this is 1:13, so we already like overtake that. But I think by and by we get to meet us, know us, and then we have one event. And special thanks to our speaker who stayed till the end. So our 2 speakers actually, like, they are really, really good persons. I think the interesting thing is that tomorrow might be the one speaking. So yes. We want. It's not going to be like I said, it's not like some alpha and omega there, right? So we want the community to share their experience. So from time to time we share our calls. We feel like, okay, this stuff. This is something. Come on, we'd love to have you, right? So with that, thank you from like myself and everybody else. Thank you so much.
We didn't take pictures.
Yes, we will. I think we should do that now.
End the stream.